Hi, James. How are you?
How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you faring in this crazy, weird time that we're living in at the moment?
It's completely unprecedented, isn't it? It's strange. I think it took us all by shock, and it's as much dealing with the business and what's going on as it is dealing with clients and their expectations and giving them confidence and making sure that they feel okay through the whole process as well. Because all of the clients that I deal with are spending money, and they're either renovating or building new homes, and the level of homes that I deal with comes with a budget. So if they're feeling unsure or economically worried, then that can affect their confidence in their job and flows onto the level of their selections and what they want to be doing in the home.
Absolutely. It's yeah, I found here that we're okay with everything that's continuing, but anything new has got a big question mark over it.
Yeah, look, I've got a spread, I've been doing this for a little while, like you. We
Yeah.
look amazing, but we're not spring chickens. We're not like new into it. So we've sort of ridden through the times before.
Yeah.
And with that comes a level of confidence with the clients as well, and a way to communicate with them. I'm pretty lucky that I've got a pretty widespread client base, including builders and developers and people who are building their homes. And because their level of homes, the level of size of property that I deal with too, that sort of comes with, they've usually got finance or backing or something already in place. And that's been happening before this started now. So like many people, I'm talking to lots of different businesses, you'd be doing the same. About, can we ride through now, or is it actually there's something happening that we haven't even hit yet that's normally inquiries that are happening now that lead to jobs in a few months' time? Is that actually where we're going to be affected? We sort of don't know,
Yeah, there's plenty of unknowns. It's very weird time, and I think it's just a day to day, take it as it comes, and each week is completely different to the other. And it's been 5 weeks or something?
Yeah, look, we had a warning of it first off. So we were booked. We were supposed to be in Milan last week or the week before. We were supposed to be in Milan and then Dubai. Oh no. So we were booked in to go to the fair. And Sandro's family, my partner in crime and partner in the business, he's born in Rome, as you know. And the family's still there. His brother and sister, the Sorello e Fratello. They're still in Italy and their family. So we were listening to it happening because they got hit quickly, badly. And then we were contacted by the guy we had the Airbnb booked through in Milan to say it's been postponed. So that was the first, wave the flag, something's happening here. So we sort of started to watch it and address things and be aware probably before we were publicly in the country, because we felt closer to it, because we had family directly affected and businesses. So it's been a little while now. And I don't want to, say anything bad, but I sort of feel like at the moment, I think it's a really positive thing. We're watching mums and dads walking with their kids down the street. The park has got families that aren't normally there. There's dads jogging with their daughters past the studio, like there's people spending time with their family and contacting people. I'm ringing people out of the blue, like, you and I have spoken. I've got other friends that that you're touching base with, that you sort of start to feel like, who's important? Have I spoken to this person? It's making us reconnect in, like, I think there's lots of silver lining to the cloud. Of course, there's a really bad side, and there's, people have been badly affected and financially affected. And of course, people have passed away. Like, it's not a good thing, but the outcome of it can be quite positive. I think it's got a lot of positive things for socially, of how we treat each other and how we value stuff.
I think the gift of it all is time. It's given people time to spend time with their families or connect with friends, or time to work on their businesses, or to, to get that thing done that they've always said when I have time.
Yep. Yeah, it's made us slow down. We're all in a hurry, and we're all rushing like we do. I work crazy hours, and most weekends, and which is great because I love it, and I've always loved houses. But
Yep.
It does make you slow down. And I tell you what, I don't know about you, I'm looking at your studio in the background. It's super neat and organized, but yours always is. Mine's creative chaos. So I have limited surfaces here because I cover all of them with everything. And I'm likely to go out with bags to see clients and then come back and drop them and then take more stuff to see another client. And, you know, it can be just like chaos here. But I've been through the library, sorting stuff out, cleaning, looking at documentation. I've been really using it in a positive way, which is great. It actually makes me feel quite positive about the business and about the whole, what we're going through.
Yeah, I think it's a big spring clean, even though we're coming into winter. So
a winter clean.
Yeah. So let's talk about, like, we've known each other for, I was trying to work it out, 8 years, 9 years?
Yeah, I think we were like 20 or 21 or something when we met.
Totally, yeah. We met on the dance floor, yeah.
Well, I remember meeting you. I met you as my stone rep. So I had this chick walk in who had like an immense amount of hair, which you do have. And as I get older, I start to value this amount of hair that you have. And you were this rock chick. You came in with sort of, you were never rude. You had funky rock attitude and you dressed like a rock star. So it was like, who is this walking into my studio, you know? I don't know, something clicked, didn't it? We were quite lucky. We got along. Without sort of, you know, great Australian expression, without peeing in your pocket, you knew your stuff, you know? You knew your stuff. You knew stone. You could debate this side of heated argument about the pros and cons of different stones and marbles. And of course that flowed into tiles, like it's the same world. So, I liked you because you had a bit of spunk but you had knowledge about your product. And I think that's important. I've got a lot of connections and friendships like you that I've made through the industry. I think we're pretty lucky. It's a great industry to work in. But also it's great if we get along. It's a bonus, right? If we like to spend time to spend time to do something together, work on a project and all those things. But fundamentally, you've got to know your shit and you've got to know what you're talking about. And I like to think I do and you did and do. So, you know. I know you were jealous though, because I got here, so everyone watching knows, Dara, how much I love stone. So this little bracelet is made of little balls of Carrara, because I went to Carrara last year. And can you see? And so I went driving up into the hills, right up in the top, looking down in the huge quarry of Carrara. It's sort of like on the west coast, straight off from Florence almost, in Italy. So I sound like a big skite, but yeah, some people just want to go to Vegas and do all the amazing things, and I want to go travel to a stone quarry.
I'm gonna say, like, anywhere I go, like I went to the Sistine Chapel and looked at the floor.
Yes. Well, normally when we go over, I mean, we go overseas each year, right? Because we go once a year, sometimes twice a year and we do it for work. So everyone's watching going, shut up, but that's what we do. And so it's normal for Sandro, he's an artist. I mean, hang on, there's one of his paintings up behind me. So he's a painter and sculptor. So we walk into, you know, a cathedral or a basilica, and of course he looks straight up and I look straight down. So I understand you. We've done traveling together too, to the tile fair.
We have, yes, to Bologna, yes. Yeah. It was big. So talk me through how you started in the industry, how you, like, when you decided this is what you wanted to do. A long time ago, so it is a long time ago. Back.
Well, do you know what's really bad? Some of my documentation online and in magazines and stuff, I talk about, you know, I have over 20 years experience in the building and design industry. And now I've got to go, oh shit, I think it's getting close to 30. So, behind this exterior of this wrinkle-free face, which is all natural, I was the kid who just loved houses. So I've still got all my Lego. I've got a twin brother and we had a lot of Lego, like immense, because we always got double everything. And I always built houses. So I loved houses. And when I left school, I didn't get the marks that I wanted to go and do. My sister's a valuer. So she's a rural valuer of property. And I didn't get the marks that I wanted to do. And I was really quite thrown at that age because I didn't lack education in what I wanted to do, but the marks that I wanted to get into the specific courses were high. So I thought, if I can't design them like an architect and I can't value them and I can't deal with them, what am I going to do? I'm going to bloody sell them. So I went to TAFE 2 nights a week for 3 years and worked at the local bottle shop and worked at a catering company, and studied to get my advanced certificate in real estate and worked in real estate and ended up managing property for, like, I was 20 and 21 managing 1,500 properties believe it or not, which was so much manual then. And I just loved it. And you know what? Through that time, I learned so much about how houses were presented, what they looked like, how people dealt with property when they looked at it. Because this is pre-styling, nothing like that was around. This is the late 80s, early 90s. So
Pre-internet.
Pre-internet, used to go to windows and look in properties, place the ads. It was a lot about communication and meeting, you know, face to face. Like this is what we've come back to, you know, where this real connecting with people and having confidence. So then I set off onto a trajectory really, and I had some side things that I did over that time, but I started working off in real estate, and understanding that led me off into really connecting through building. So I went and worked for a major builder in New South Wales, and through them, I worked with them for a number of years. And I started to take on every division that I could. So I studied Diploma of Horticulture Landscape Design, which I did that. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that.
I did, yeah. Iliocarpus matriculatus. I learned all my Latin. Sound like someone from Harry Potter. So I did that for many, many years. And do you know what? It's funny when I deal with students, talking to design students, because people come from all these various backgrounds, but all of that study of landscape, I don't like to tell clients because then they want me to help them with their landscape plan, which I don't want to do. But I still use so much of that knowledge of garden design and planting and placement, because it's all so much the same rules as interior design. And even the catering that I worked in with my twin, we used to work on harbour cruises in Sydney Harbour when we were actually underage. The guy who owned the catering company, my mum and dad, we were serving alcohol at like 17. But it's a long time ago. All of that knowledge of working in commercial kitchens actually gave me the leg up when I then worked for a builder, and one of the guys came and said, listen, James, we know you're great with clients, you know houses, you know design, all this stuff. What do you know about kitchens? And I go, well, actually, I've worked in commercial kitchens. I know a lot about kitchens. He goes, great. We want you to go and become a kitchen designer and head the new kitchen department and create this new kitchen showroom for us. Oh, okay, no worries. So I went up and became a kitchen designer, and then that flowed to a bathroom designer. And then I basically think I worked all my way around the house in every industry before then I started to work for myself and take clients through the building and selection process and help them with that. So I've worked for myself and had my own business now since 2000, 20 years.
Ooh, so what age when you because the 1990s feels like 10 years ago, and it's
it does.
What age were you when you started doing all the kitchens and things? How long ago was that?
So in the 90s, late 90s, I was doing stuff already with that. It was a different world. So we used to have always. You know, it's funny because Sandro is a painter and sculptor, and he talks about when he learned studying art about the importance of line drawing and drawing by hand, like that's basic skill. So I still do all my sketch, look, what have I got? I still meet with clients and do that and draw a kitchen 3D in front of them to give them a nut out of what I want still. And then it gets transferred from that to I draw it up properly, and then it gets done up on SketchUp. So, before that, you know, so I still think those basic rules still have to work as a skill base. I was sort of late 90s, and then it flowed on. And, you know, I think it's funny because when you say interior design, there's such a wide scope of where people end up working in that. You know, you have a tile store, a tile gallery, and you sell tile and stone. But you have so much innate design knowledge because it flows onto how you understand how the product that you're selling and specifying for people is used in jobs. Like you have to understand that, you know. So I deal with people who come out qualified designers, and they're not going to be Greg Natale. They're not going to be, a big stylist. They're not going to be in TV and all that stuff. They might end up working in a tile store or in a flooring company and be amazing at it and have a hugely successful career because all of their knowledge and their passion has been directed into that. Or, you know, kitchens or tapware or tiles or ovens or appliances. Do you know what I mean? Like there's such a wide scope. That's one of the exciting things about the industry. Did I answer your question?
That's how I started. That's how I started. It was, I wanted to do the courses, and back then they were outrageously expensive and I couldn't afford it. So I took a job in a tile store because the ad said an interest in interior design would be advantageous.
Yes.
And that
Well,
20 something years ago.
It's funny where you flow through. Do you know, so when I way back, I was doing landscape design for clients who were lodging houses because they were charged so much to do landscape plans that I thought, I can do this, right? So I'd get the big plan through the builder. I'd meet with a client. I'd go home and I'd liquid paper on the plans and I'd print off sheets and stick them on it and then draw back over it and then take it to the photocopier first thing in the morning and re-photocopy it and then sell that to the client, which they'd take to council and lodge. And council landscape plans were like costing $1,200 or something. And I said, oh, I can do this for about $650, you know? So it was a big deal for me and it was a good thing to have on the side. And the builder was happy because I was saving the client's money. So I learned a lot from not really like being confident and having a go. Like I wasn't wasting people's time. I really overstudied and overthought what they were doing. But the same as you, I started working with clients during the selection process because I had so much knowledge in the back end of kitchens and bathrooms and things. And then I thought, oh shit, I'm working with clients building these big homes. The houses were getting more expensive. I better go do something. So I went to Enmore TAFE and did a Wednesday night and a Saturday course to get a colour consultation. That was my first qualification in design. To become a qualified colour consultant, which was like, you know, I was like $3,000 or something for this course. But it gave me confidence because then a lot of stuff that I was doing innately, I then sort of understood the theory behind why that worked. And it gave me confidence in my job. So I think some people naturally have great skill when it comes to putting things together and selection. So there's mums and dads out there who can create a beautiful space and they've never stepped in a design school or studied or anything. That's just normal. But then there's other people who we have taste, but you qualify and you learn things about yourself and you learn processes and you learn reasons why you do things when you then have qualification to back yourself up, you know, like diploma and certificates in other stuff. So that's what I've ended up doing.
And you learn all about the history and everything of design as well. So the fundamentals.
Yeah, placement and of course, historical architecture and placement. I mean, if you love what you do, you tend to become good at it because you do it more often. So, you know, you become a great bike rider because you ride the bike. So if you want to enter into this industry and you think it's just going to be easy and you're going to walk in and get some amazing job and in 6 months you're going to be the manager and I just don't think that happens. I read, I look at the books, I drive everywhere. I can't stop. You know, Sandro says, can we just go to the corner and have a coffee at the coffee shop when we could do that without you redesigning every second house? And I go, well, that's not going to happen because that's just who I am. Like I can't, it's in me, right? I love it. So if you're passionate about it, then I think you learn all of those other skills that you need to have because, you know yourself, right? I'm an interior designer, I'm qualified, I have my certificates, I have all that stuff and I've got years of experience, but that's not enough because I've got to be a social media expert. I have to deal with problem resolution. I have to deal with builders and clients. I have to do bloody tax. I have to work out where my studio is going to go. I have to, like, you know, running a business for anyone who runs their own business is a huge job. Then you have to do whatever it is that you're a vet or you're a whatever you are, in this case, interior design. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like, wow,
the passion.
Here's my violin. You learn all this stuff and there's more contacts these days, more accessibility to online tools to help you with all of that stuff. But a lot of the processes where, you know, I've come to old school guys, it wasn't there. We had to go learn it or talk to people or create relationships. And then we go back to the beginning of what we started to talk about, Dara, is relationships is so important. The group, the club, the village, people who are there by your side to help you through.
It took me a long time to realize not everyone could visualize. I'd stand in the tile shop and I'd show people tiles and they're like, I can't picture that. And I'm like, I didn't realize it was actually a gift until enough people had actually said that to me. And I'm like, I can picture exactly what this is going to look like from one tile. But yeah, that was a big moment for me because I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe there is something that I can do that not everyone else. I have a gift of some description.
Yeah. And so there's two things there. You get the skill base and you think, oh gosh, I can do this. And maybe it is, I think I take it for granted, but maybe it's not a normal skill. And I completely get you and I understand. So I draw a lot in front of clients because I remember a client saying about 20 years ago or something, going, she looked at the husband, she goes, he just drew that in 3D or something. He goes, yeah, I'm watching it, hello. She goes, yeah, but he drew it upside down. So I'm drawing their kitchen for them so they can see it upside down to me. Now, then I have to think, oh, I do that, right? I'm not amazing. Ask me to do tax. Ask me to lift up the bonnet of my car and ask whatever it is under there that goes, not interested, right? I can tell you the color I want, the double stitching on my leather interior and all that, everything aesthetic, but it's not my thing. So, you know, once you learn that skill base, it's important, but it also teaches us that when those people can't get it and can't see it, it's up to us to then become leaders, shepherds. We have to guide them through the process, and whatever tools we have, however you do it, to then explain your vision that you can see it so easily to the client who's ultimately trusting you to put it in their house and add value to probably their most expensive asset they own.
Absolutely. Now, I remember when we sat and had coffee in Five Dock.
Yeah.
The Tamburinos, and you were telling me how there might be this TV show that I'm you know, a friend's trying to help me get onto. So you've obviously had quite the career in television, being on The Living Room and Sky News on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know the name of the show.
Yeah, it was Sky News, and then it became Your Money. I know it's a little.
How did talk us through how that all started and how much you love it? And I really think you should be doing a travel show. That's my next goal for you. So, you know, talk to us about it. Tell us the good bits, the bad bits, the ugly bits.
Yeah, of course, because there's the reality. It always looks greener, doesn't it? You know, aren't you lucky to own a business and work for yourself, Dara? Aren't you lucky? And you go, yeah, I'm so lucky. You should be here on a Saturday morning when I'm opening up and you're going to the beach, you know? So it was a funny situation. I had a really good friend, Carrie Suhardi. She had a business, Ella and Sophia. She designed fabrics and wallpapers. I don't know if you've met her. So we've stayed friends, and Sandra and I had a design gallery. So Sandra, through all the contacts of art and sculpture and things, we had this gallery set up in Marrickville. It was quite an arty area. There's a lot of artists in that suburb. And it was a way for me to get a studio. So when I first started out, I would go to every client's house. I'd meet with them at the brickyard. I'd meet with them at the tile yard. I had a garage with bricks and stuff stacked in it, and I'd take them and I'd bring it. And I worked on the dining room table. Like, where do you start? Then I wanted to get a studio. So we thought we'd open a design gallery and sell paintings and sculpture and photography, etc. We called it Studio Dome. And that, by selling things, helped me pay the rent to have a studio to work from as an interior designer. What happened? The business took off. The building design and interiors took off. So I was like overwhelmed. Carrie, we were selling some of her fabric. We had some things from her, pardon me, cushions and door stops and things, fabric that she had designed. And she walked in one day and said, oh, look, I've got friends who, I've had some stuff on, you know, been working in TV. And I said, oh, we should do a TV show together. And Sandra across the room goes, don't listen to him. He says it to everyone. And she said, well, I know a production company. So we talked about creating a home, an eco home at that time. So this is 12 years ago. And we liked it, we thought about it, we formulated, we put something down, and then we had a meeting with the production company, and they liked the idea, and Lifestyle Channel paid for the pilot to be made. So I told everyone about it because it was incredibly exciting. It was just one day of filming to create a pilot. I had a makeup lady, and we had sound and mics clicked on and camera, and it was all like, oh, this is all really cool. And I told everyone about it, and then the show never happened, as 90% of TV concepts never become reality. So I thought it was a lot of fun, and I just put that to bed. So it was something I enjoyed doing. I used to do TV extras in the 90s on the side. So it was something I was always interested in doing, but I thought, oh, it's not me. I don't look like Brad Pitt. It's not my thing, right? And then 2 years later, I got a phone call about this girl. She was the series producer of this new show. We've seen you. We've got your pilot. I think I was carried around in a pocket for 2 years in a stick, you know, it's just on a stick. And we liked you, and there's this new show called The Living Room. Would you be interested? So I got an email. I replied that day. This is on a Thursday. They wanted me to see me the next day. So I went into a meeting on the Friday morning. I postponed a client, and I was filming the following Wednesday, like 4 days or 5 days later. So what happened is the camera guy turned in. I go, I'm really good with faces. I've got quite a photographic memory. I'll forget your name. I know Dara, but I'll forget your name, but I'll remember your face. And I notice when your hair's changed color or it's just my brain, right? So I knew his face and he goes, I was the cameraman on your pilot. So it just made me feel a bit good that I knew this guy. He's since become my mate. So I did this show called The Living Room. We filmed, it was 3 days of filming for 11 minutes or 12 minutes of film on the show. Like, it's crazy. Anyway, I liked it and it went well. And then they liked it and they asked me to come back again. And so I did another show and then another show. And so I did 4 or 5 shows in season 1. And then I went to the Christmas party and I knew really nobody. I was hanging out with Dylan, who was the tradie guy, and the makeup girls, and they all sort of were nice to me and knew because I was new. And then I met the owners and they said, we put you on contract. So it was all very unusual. Like, it was really unexpected. I didn't know where it came from. So I was on that show on The Living Room for 7 years. I left last year. It was just time. So I wasn't there which was last year's show. And then other things came on. I picked up an opportunity where a crew turned up and asked me to join. So I joined a show called Open Homes Australia, which I joined them last year. I forgot about Sky News. So in between that, I was doing Sky News and The Living Room at the same time. So that was exciting because what happened is, I talked about when you learn something that you use that knowledge somehow in your business. My real estate certificate was the final thing I put on at a meeting because I had to meet with people to join Sky News to say, well, we know you can do TV, you're comfortable in front of the camera, we know you're an interior designer, you know about houses, but this is a real estate show. And I go, well, I'm a qualified real estate agent. Really? Okay. So that was 6 hours live TV and I did that every Saturday for 2 years. So as you know, I can talk a lot, but my first EP, the executive producer, Kim Kine, she said, James, your skill is that when something happens, because it's live, we lose feeds, stuff happens, you've got an earpiece in that they're not supposed to see. And I can hear, oh shit, we've dropped the feed, quick, coming back to you now, 3, 2, 1. And we're usually sitting there like, hi, welcome back. We've been watching this show. We've just lost the feed and we've got to carry this thing because it's live. She said, I can throw to you at any time and you can talk about a kitchen benchtop for an hour and make it sound utterly exciting. So I was like, okay, I said, I can do that. So it was really exciting. And I loved it. I love the medium of television because you get to pass on knowledge and tricks and your love of design to people in their lounge room where they're watching it and they're comfortable because they're in their own space and they can digest it. And then, Open Homes Australia on 9 Live. So I joined that last year. We're supposed to already be filming now. We've got, that was season 3 last year. I joined the show. Season 4, we're already ready to start filming, but everything's been pushed back because of COVID. So I'll probably have a really crazy busy end of the year. We're hoping that things will start to lift up, that we can be filming and production's going to start again. Maybe June, July, we're hoping. But yeah, we're going to be really pushed because we've got a whole show that's a year's production that will be pushed back. So, yeah, look, it's an exciting medium. It's sometimes, like everything, Dara, it looks exciting from the outside, TV looks automatic, very glamorous, but it's not the 80s, We don't have a dining truck there and people running around after us with director chairs with our name on them. Nothing like that at all. We're lucky we get a bottle of water. But on that show, I work with a really small production team and they're just great. And like, we fly down to Tasmania and fly to Adelaide and get to do homes around the country. We have Michael and Colleen, who are ex-Block. They do Queensland. And then there's Bessie, who does Victoria. So it's a really nice, tight show that we get to walk in through beautiful homes and talk with the designers or the architects. So yeah, I love it. If I can get to talk about houses and design and architecture, I'm like a pig in mud.
And what about the medium of live TV? Like, that would be quite different to the recorded.
Yeah, live TV is great. I actually prefer live. I love live. The live TV was that cameras were on us. We had 3 cameras and we were filming in Surrey Hills at Sky, but their head office and the people controlling the cameras were actually in Ryde. So for people who aren't in Sydney, it's like, 6 suburbs away and they're automated. So these cameras on the ground, there's tape to show where they move. So if you like, there's a camera like this, right? And there's tape on the ground. So the camera does this, moves, and then there's another one here and they direct and move to face to you and change angles. and they're tape on the ground so that you don't walk in there, so that you won't be hit by a camera if it's being moved automatically. So they were like Daleks from Doctor Who. It's quite amazing. And you've got an earpiece. So my brain can't cope with, I have to always have the earpiece on the opposite side to my co-host. So I did the show originally with a girl called Bridie up in Queensland, who was beautiful blonde, and then it sort of changed, and I had new cast come in, and you know, we all got together and really had an amazing time. So I had Sophie Hull next to me, and she's like Wonder Woman. She's tall and glamorous, and incredibly witty, and she's got a very strong journalism background. So I was the only non-journalist working on the camera for Sky News, which was quite exciting. But being able to construct sentences that make sense and pass information on and digest and talk about things, as long as you don't, you know, drop the F-bomb, which I'm not going to do I don't do it in front of a client. Everything else can get by. And if you slur or you muck up your words, or, you know, if I say, oh, Sarah, I mean Sally, and you keep going, you digest that and people watch that and accept it. Whereas in recorded television, that would be, okay, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Yeah. And then a bus pulls up, and then a bird goes past, and a plane, you cough, all those things. Let's do it again. So sometimes something might be 7, 8 takes, and then maybe the energy's not the same, or the moment's gone, or do you know what I mean? Whereas when it's live, it's raw and it's real and it's utterly exciting. I love live TV.
It would be exciting. And I guess the perfectionism isn't there of recording TV, where it has to be perfect constantly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. It's like what we're doing now. People get this. People who are watching this, they're into what we're watching. They see us. They can feel the honesty of who we are, because it's very raw. Like, we're very exposed. In live TV, it's like you're naked. It's like you're nude, because you're so vulnerable, because you don't have any. If you muck up or you pull a weird face or something happens, or there's a noise over there, or you look at someone, pardon me, off camera, all of that is included. It's not edited. So editing is a really powerful tool, and it can make or break a movie or a TV show.
Totally.
In live, you're self-editing the whole time. So you've got to make sure that you're standing straight and you don't pull that weird face and don't get that double chin thing that you do, or whatever it is. You've got to know that yourself. It's exciting. I love it.
Fun. I'm so proud of you. I just want you to know that and say that publicly.
Thank you. And do you know what? With friends like you, and I'm pretty lucky. I've got friends that I've had since, you know, Cub's one of my best mates. He's a twin and I'm a twin, and we always joke that we were mixed up at birth. But if you know who you are, you don't change. So, you know, I'm very much the same on camera and as off camera. So I know who I am. You don't have to put on any airs and graces. And in small production, I think it's pretty true in Australian television. I haven't worked overseas in TV, but yet. You know, I'm going to carry the lighting stuff and carry stuff for the sounding and lighting guys. Like, that's what we do. I don't just go, oh, okay, I'm finished, and walk away and they have to clean everything up. Like, I just don't. It's not what I do in my normal life anyway. So it's good, and that creates good rapport with those people, because those people have the power to make you feel comfortable in front of the camera and look good and look intelligent and that. And that. Is Alexander, my new thing, our son. He's 16 in a couple of weeks. We always say, I'm really intelligent, because he's now doing school online, which is really difficult because not enjoying it. I said, did you learn something in that? And he goes, yeah, and that. Anyway.
And that stuff and that. Yeah. So you've just moved into a new studio.
We have.
Do you want to show us?
I can show you. Do you know the benefit? This is one thing that's great for our industry. Australia, the world, is locked in, and they're stuck looking at 4 walls and their floor and their ceiling. We look at the floor, other people look at the ceiling. And they realise how important their space is where they live, because they've been stuck in there. So all of those decisions on your finishes and your fixtures and the materials that you have around you, and ultimately the space that you spend time in, has a huge effect on you, on your well-being, on how you feel when you wake up in the morning, or how you feel when you're working, you know. So we moved in January. I've been in the last studio for 6 years. So we used to film the living room in there. It was a huge shop, big space, like 3.5 metre high ceilings, but it was walls of dark with all our stuff, because Sandro's, as I said, paints. He has his creative side on one side of the studio, and I have all my stuff on the other, and I slowly take over all of his surfaces. But now we've moved to this new space, so I can sort of show you. We've got a kitchenette. It's been like a community centre or something. So I've got highlight windows on all four sides. We've got a kitchenette. There's my library over there. So no books in my library. This is my proper library, and I've got other books, but this
looking
is
very neat.
Designer library. Very neat for me, Dara. I'm glad you know. I've got my workbench over there where I put things together, and I've got all that natural light flooding in. We've got a space. Hang on, I'll keep twisting. I'm coming around. There's our seating area. There's Sandro. Say hello. Ha! So Sandro's got headphones on because he's editing videos that we do and social media stuff. So he's got to listen to me bloody talking. And then, yeah, here.
There's your boxing bag.
Here's my boxing bag. So, yeah, I'm going to be all built and big. And I'll look like Tom Hardy next time you see me.
Okay.
Which will be hard to walk past a mirror, but you get that. So, yeah, it's a really good space. But as I said, I think that all of this has happened to make you realise how important it is, the space that you work in, you know.
Yeah.
Like you, building industry is considered an essential business. So I've been able to work through this whole process, and we create content for my major builder that I work with in New South Wales, which is Edenbrook. And then I create display homes for them. And then I also have my other boutique builders and my individual clients. So I've been able to adapt the business. And that's a big thing, I think, for people in this time in business in general, to be able to be adaptable, to be able to sustain when the storm comes, you know. And we've been living in the middle of the worst storm that we've had in generations, that have sort of changed the whole way we live. So in business, I think it's about being adaptable to be able to ride the storm, yeah?
The word is pivot.
Pivot?
Yes, everyone's pivoting. It's like that Friends episode when they're trying to get the couch up the stairs.
Yeah.
Ross is like, pivot!
Pivot. I was speaking to a friend, you know, and I use lots of analogies in how I explain things to clients, because it helps me understand. I like complex things can be explained in simplistic ways, I think. And I talk about the fruit bowl, you know, and I had a good friend of mine who's had a business for many years, and she was having a bit of a rough time at the end of last year, but her jobs are very high end. So I talked about her fruit bowl being like these two big artichokes half dipped in gold, and that's her business. And then what happens is, if there's something happened and she loses a job, her fruit bowl is half. There's only one piece of fruit there. And when I spoke like this, she said, well, there's no fruit in my bowl at the moment. So that's where a lot of people are right now, right? So my fruit bowl, I have sort of a big watermelon there, if you like. It's 40% of my business, and it's my major builder. And then I have my boutique builders, and that's probably another, you know, bits of fruit. And then I have all my private clients that come. And then I have TV and social media and all these other things that I've just built over time that have come to me. You know, it's a combination of working bloody hard, connecting constantly, a sprinkling of really good luck and opportunity, because that's, you know, some people just are great but never get a foot in the door, and I've had that, luckily. But my dad used to say, who you know gets you there, and what you know keeps you there. It's a really good saying. So if you've got no cred and you don't know what you're doing, all of the opportunities in the world will mean nothing. So you've always got to learn and continually self-educate and grow. And so that, I mean, definitely my fruit bowl, pieces of fruit have been taken out. It's not a great time, but I think it's a really positive time by how you view it. And I can still just alter what I'm doing and still keep, you know, plodding along as a business.
Yeah. You do a lot of talks on trends because of all the travel you do. So what trends do you see could potentially be coming out of this for the design industry, or for people's homes, or, you know, even restaurants?
So I've been pretty privy. We were supposed to go to Milan this year, as I said, which is just last week or whatever it was, last week or the week before. So I've been to Milan twice before, and I was really disappointed because I particularly love kitchens. It's my passion is kitchens, and in Milan Fair, kitchens is every second year.
It was this year.
So it's kitchen. So it'll be 2 years until kitchens again. So kitchens and bathrooms 1 year, furniture every year, and then the other alternate year is office and lighting. So they go kitchen, bathroom, office, lighting, and they alternate. Pardon me. So the other thing is the tile fair, where we've met together in Inchosai, the International Tile Fair. It's the biggest tile fair in the world, and that's in Bologna every September. And I've gone to that now 7 years in a row. which we weren't going to go this year, but if it all clears up, we might end up trying to get there. But I don't think we're getting international travel by the end of this year, so it's unfortunate. So yes, I get to see those trends and I write about them in magazine and present on them.
But sorry, don't you think that the whole trade fair model is going to change as well?
I think it's going to have to. Look, I'm in a position where I'm waiting for some more information. I got picked up to be the ambassador for Decor Design this year in Melbourne, which is to be in June. So that'll be postponed. I think it's going to be later in the year. We should be able to travel between states by then. And I think we'll want to, because we all need to get out and see each other and do things. And we're lucky, you know, there's big hubs, particularly between Sydney and Melbourne, but everyone comes from around the state, around the country rather. So I'm waiting to get the go ahead of that. So if it all back on, come and say hello with Decor Design. As far as trends, Dara, I think there's a few really good things that are coming through. We've had a big trend, or trends that have been culminating for the last few years, and it's a really big, a strong emphasis on natural materials, on getting back to basics of things, valuing things that are handmade and unique instead of, you know, tiles that are perfect and everyone's the same. Some that have those natural imperfection, and you've seen it in tiles, ones that replicate beautifully natural stones and natural timbers and that have texture and undulating surfaces. I think those sort of products are still going to continue, because in a world where we've got, you know, so much technology that's clean and smooth and shiny, we crave as humans to touch and to be touched, and I mean that in a non-kinky way or kinky way. So surfaces that are tactile and textural are naturally things that we want in our homes and in our spaces. So I think that that's still going to continue. And, you know, you see it in laminates and in veneers, very textured timber grains and high texture and open weave in fabric. I think that that's all going to continue. I think, interestingly, which is something that we've talked about for years, I know you and I have spoken about it, and you have your own designs and tiles and things manufactured as well, and you get specific product in, is the power of handmade and then going back to locally made and Australian made. It's a long road for us to have that. Manufacturing has been gone for decades, well before we're born, really. You know, the Australian made idea is something we want and can advocate in food and in restaurants and things like that. We can do that because it's a quicker made thing that's digestible, of course, because it's food. In manufacture, in manufacture of goods, like, you know, all of the tiles and things, the technology and the factories, like the major tile companies that we go to. I go to tile factories that are immense. They're like a little city in Italy. It's Sassuolo, which is like the Silverwater, the industrial area outside of Bologna. That whole region is sustained by tile manufacture, and it's been like that for thousands of years. You know, I mentioned Carrara, like that Carrara stone quarry that I went to. That's where Michelangelo's stone came from. That's the same quarry. It's been going for, you know, 1,000, 2,000. Romans got stuff from there. They're still digging there. There's so much of it. We don't have that, but we can start to create and support artisans, local small makers, and that's where it all started. So if we can do that and value that, because of course, this thing that's going to be handmade by Sophie or Joe in a factory around the corner in Australia, because of the cost of the electricity and the shed and their time and all these things, it's going to have a different value to being mass produced in another country where the labor costs are so cheap that they can give me, you know, 1,000 of them for the same, you know what I mean? Like, we've got to learn as consumers to value that thing to be able to afford for handmade industry to start again. And then those small makers can have an apprentice and have somebody working, and then they can grow. So it will take time, but I think we could regrow our manufacturing industry in Australia, and each country can do that because we've got creatives instead of us using creative ideas and having everything made offshore.
Well, we used to do the terracotta and quarry tiles here. That was the last tile manufacturing on a larger scale. Right. So Barossa Ceramics, Robertson's, they're still around. Eureka, Austral, they all used to do terracotta tiles, and maybe they'll start doing them again purely because, you know,
terracotta was out of favour maybe in the 80s, but it's definitely back, isn't it? I'm using terracotta. I've just bought some new pots for the courtyard outside, and I love terracotta because it's you know, it's such an earthy product, but it's a beautiful colour tone, and It breathes, and it can be, you can smash it and recycle it and reuse it again. So it's good to hear. I think that that's what I think anyway is trends. I mean, people will have different opinions. Trends. What are trends driven by? They're driven by cultural things. You might see you saw the power of what is it called? That guy Mumbai. What was that amazing TV show where the boy went on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in India?
Slumdog Millionaire.
Slumdog Millionaire, thank you.
Yeah.
So Slumdog Millionaire, when that happened, it came at the same time as, all that music. And so all of that culture of Indian culture through that movie and through other sources all came at once. And all of a sudden we started to see colours and spices in food and a lot of patterns in tiles that were Indian and ethnic and exotic because of that. So that drove a trend that came through media and many sources for us to see it. It's also then for a trend to survive is the consumer. The consumer has to be comfortable to purchase that product and have it here. The perfect example in Australia is rose gold. In the tile fair last year, which is tiles and bathrooms, rose gold in tapware is everywhere. And Europeans and Americans are consuming it. It's everywhere. They love it. Australia, because it appeared in Kmart overnight and it's everywhere, we've been overexposed to it. So rose gold came and went really quickly. But I'm putting brushed gold and brasses and coppers still in finishes in homes because those age-worn textural surfaces in the metallics have still survived. Black, that's going to be here for a long time. It's coming and it's going to be here. Yeah. Not your thing?
No, I love black.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. So it works well and it's going to be around for a while. Black too. Chrome, of course, is timeless. It's always going to be here. And stainless steel is another one. So I think trends are driven, but for us as Australians, as consumers, we've got to value the value of things that are made locally and sourced, which then flows on to the economy. And I'm all about buying things. I get it. I don't want people to not buy things. We all need to consume just to change our sofa and to change our jacket and jumper. And we need to update and do things. Things wear, things change, our tastes change. But I think we've got to value buying really good things, buying quality instead of quantity. I'd rather have some really good stuff in my home instead of lots of it that I don't value anyway then. And then hopefully there'll be less rubbish going out on council pickup anyway because things aren't cheap. If it's a better made thing, it can be passed on and reused. Yeah.
Yeah. What about things like, like office design and all that? Because that's obviously going to change. Now people are working from home who previously weren't able to work from home.
I think that's exciting, Dara. I mean, I need a studio to come to here and I have a space, so we come between home and here and I basically cross a bridge, to do that, where I am in Sydney, pardon me. But we've seen so many businesses probably fighting the fact because they think, if I let you work from home, you're not going to work. You're going to sit on your bum and eat popcorn and watch Netflix. And nothing wrong with that. But I think people are really driven to want to succeed and have their businesses anyway. And as our lives go, I think it has a different energy. Why can't I be talking to you, creating a colour scheme, working on all these files that I've got here of work to get done? And, this is not my home, but throw a load of washing in while I'm doing that. And then that's dealt with instead of me having to do that when I get home and then the kids come and I can't talk to them. I think it's a really clever way to be able to, I think there's a balance though. I think businesses, if people could work remotely 3 days a week, 4 days a week maybe, and have a 1 or 2 day in the office where I get to see you and we have a meeting.
People still need contact.
Correct. And we still need I like the word of the village. We in Australia, I think that, when I grew up, we were the twins from the corner house. We knew everybody and they knew us. We knew all our neighbours across the street and everyone. Now we live in a place where we don't know our next door neighbours. So that's sad. And hopefully that changes through this process because you're stuck at home. You might say hello across the fence. The same as at work. You need to have that contact with people in your industry and who you work with. And then you can still have the balance and work at home 3 days a week and maybe go to the office 2 or 1. Imagine what that then does environmentally. We're already seeing the air is clearer, water's clearer, there's less cars on the road. All of those things will happen naturally in a shift with how we work, which also gives us better lifestyle, maybe this virus is going to have, for all of its negatives, it's going to have some amazing ramifications that are completely positive for how we live and how we value where we live and how we look after where we live and all of those big, deep things, which everybody really does think about. I think we all want to live well and look after the planet and do all of those things. You know, there's the idiot who flicks a cigarette on the ground and dumps the stuff out of the car. They're always going to be here. They're just idiots. And you need to tell them, like I do, when the kids get upset. But most 95% are great and do care. So if we get the tools to enable us to do that, I reckon I think it's good. And make your space look nice. And then you don't feel bad when people say, oh, you're going overseas again. I go, yeah, but I'm in here working every bloody Saturday, mostly. I have Sundays off to catch up on stuff, to deal with the crazy life and people's expectations and design their kitchens.
So I guess, what are you doing to relax? How do you switch off?
We walk down here. Yeah, good question. I get asked this a lot by Sandro. My problem is, I think people need hobbies. I think people all need hobbies to switch off from what they do. My problem is that my hobby aligns with my work. So I don't actually view that I get stuck going to work, because I could wake up at 7 and just get on the phone to you and talk tiles and, you know, and draw up a kitchen. And I love it. I love it. So, you know, up in there, those, I don't think you can see those, they're my funky new containers that I got. And they're all labelled. They're all different houses working where I keep all the samples. I'll show you. I don't know what's inside, but, you know. So I keep in here, I can adjust.
For each project?
Yeah, so I just keep quick samples of the, you know, the carpet and the tile and the things to keep me really clear when I'm grabbing stuff, and the paint samples and stuff. And it's labelled. So I've been doing this because of COVID. So it's kept me so organised, Dara. I don't even recognise myself. I think as far as a hobby, it's tricky for me. We travel as hobbies. So I work really hard and then we can disappear. So last year I was away for the whole month of September, which was very decadent, but I'd worked every weekend throughout the whole year. So it's about what you have. I think life is a balance. I put the boxing bag up because I've had that boxing bag for like 6 years and it was sitting on the floor and I've never used it. So it's up and I've started to use it. You might not notice any dramatic change yet, but it's a work in motion, work in progress rather. So a good thing is I signed up for it. I don't want to become an advocate for this because I don't get paid to say it, but I signed up for the masterclass thing on Netflix.
Same.
Yeah, and I actually think if you're creative that you'll get a lot out of it. I sat and watched Christina Aguilera talking about singing, and I can sing, believe it or not, but I'm not wishing to be a singer. But when you listen to somebody who's really good at what they do and you hear their processes and their thoughts, you can get something out of it and adapt that to you, even if you're a mechanic or a fence builder or a gardener or I don't know what you do. Once you understand people's reasoning or processes, I think it's very powerful. So I've enjoyed it. I've signed up to that, and
I've watched the Anna Wintour one.
We've watched a few of her too, and RuPaul, and so for people who don't know, and I'm not selling the product. It's a membership for the year to watch, and you get all of these specialists in their fields that talk about. I mean, I'd love to be on it actually, but they're specialists in their field that you get to hear their processes and who they are and what they do and how they became, and then lessons. So you feel very one-on-one because it's down the barrel, sort of like this is. When you're being spoken to, I think it's a great thing. So I've enjoyed doing that. I actually read, so I read a lot, and I always have books next.
Novels or?
Yeah, I love crime. I love David Baldacci. So I love crime and thrillers. He's a great writer. I also, have design books that I managed to pull out, and I actually pulled one out the other day. It's not here because of you, but beautiful Karen McCartney. I don't know if you know or ever met her, but she's beautiful, and I consider her a friend. But one of her books. So there's lots of creative design books that you can get and download. I'm going to start to put them as part of my newsletter, actually, Dara, and put a book each newsletter or something that I love, because there's so many design books that you can buy online and go to, you know, Dymocks or whichever online store you like to buy from and get them sent to you. And when everything's online now, I like books. Sandra and I could open a bookshop. We have so many books. And I like to hold a book, and I like the smell of a book. And I like to read. And when I'm reading some crime thing, I mean, of course I do read about design, but if I'm reading crime and it's something that's crazy, it switches me off from your house and your staircase and your flooring that I've got to design. Otherwise, I'm likely to wake up at 2 o'clock and go, oh shit, I didn't send off that email, or I haven't done that, you know, facade for that house that they're waiting for, that development or something. Because I tend to have, it's great, I've got a lot of clients on, it's all wonderful, like their files, they're all clients, but it's also deadlines and pressure and sometimes anxiety. So if I get to switch off, then I go to bed and I crash and I wake up and I'm ready to start again. So reading, I suppose, is a really good thing. I love it.
If you could have any client, who would you have? Who would your dream client be?
Tom Hardy, but we might not get much.
I'm totally coming to that meeting.
Really good question. I don't know. I'm pretty lucky with the clients that I have. I don't know that I have a dream client. A dream client to me would be one that would let me have a lot more involvement in the design of the architecture of the home, because I'm all about passive design and orientation of home. And the problem is that when we're living in a world now where block sizes are getting smaller, that you have to fit a home to it. So unfortunately, out of Sydney, out of the capital, of course, it's different, where block sizes are larger. So I suppose I'd like a client that has the vision to be able to want to listen, to create a space that they're going to have an impact on on who they are and how they live.
Yep.
And I've done some work. I've designed for friends in the Netherlands, and I've done some friends in the UK, but I don't call myself an international designer because I know them and I helped them with their houses because I was there. Overseas would be fun. I'd love to do some more work, work in Italy, because we go there and I understand the culture. I have, a few generations back, I have an Italian connection through my mum, and she was Marcantelli, her maiden name. So all I got is, you can tell there's an ethnicity because I talk like a wog with my hands, but I feel very comfortable in that culture. And I like that the differences between the climate there of cold to hot is more extreme than what we have here. It's quite mild in Sydney. And when you've got a difference in climate, I think it impacts really positively on how you use your house, because there's parts of the home that are more winter-based, and you get to enjoy different parts of your home when it's very hot in summer. So when you have those changes in the seasons, I think it impacts how you use your house. So I like that concept, you know. I was talking to a client the other day about, we talk about the facade and how you look when you come to the house and you walk down the house and how it looks, but how does it actually look coming the other way? Because that's how you're going to live. You're going to walk up that hallway to your bedroom. What does it look like that way? We can't just look this way, because it's all just a presentation veneer thing. It's not real how you use the space. So understanding how we walk through the home and use it is very interesting to how the design decisions are made and the finishes and materials. And I think that's the same with a client. So who would I design for? Tom Hardy, and then anybody, if they've got money and a vision. I have to be honest.
We'll just go Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy's great.
Yeah. I'll design for Kylie Minogue, if you're watching. I love you. I'll look after her as well.
Well, Greg said Madonna.
Yeah. Well, we loved her. We love her too. She's a Leo like me, so we get along very well. We went to her concert. I think she's amazing. She's another one that actually comes up at times like this, because she's made herself current and on trend. Whether you like her music or not is irrelevant. She's reinvented herself for every decade, and made herself
Madonna.
Yes, and made herself current.
Madonna, yeah.
And her music's changed, and from me rocking around to listening to her at a school disco. So yeah, I think she would be quite amazing. I could quite happily meet Madonna. She's very different to what I think you like. In that couple karaoke, as she says, she doesn't really drink much. She doesn't go out. She doesn't do drugs. She's very different to what perhaps people think that she's like. So yeah, I could do Madonna as well.
Kylie Minogue would be fun.
I think she'd be lots of fun. She's another one who's completely authentic. She's gone through the roller coaster. She survived. She knows who she is. She's stayed genuine. Yeah, I love her. Better the devil.
Okay, and how do you? I mean, you say you work a lot and then you travel to relax, but how do you, wellness wise, like what do you do to look after James?
Yeah, I walk. We walk. I walk. I don't walk enough as much now. I normally do walk a lot. So down here, I'm 5 minutes away from the Bay Run, which is 7.5 k. Around, you cross a bridge and you walk around the bay. Unless there's a lion chasing me. I don't mind watching people run. But walking is very cathartic. I think it's really good at. It's great to clean your head and clean your body and to move, to be active. I love being. We always travel. When we travel, we always go near water. And of course, the Mediterranean's amazing because the temperature. But we have a place up the coast as well at the Central Coast, and yeah, I'll get in the water most times of the year. There's something quite amazing of being in water, in salt water. Yeah, normally over Christmas. Christmas was terrible because of the bushfires, but normally I'm over at Balmoral. I watch that the whalers go past, so they don't want to drag me in off the beach. But it's I think something quite beautiful to be in water. And music, I have music playing normally now. So while I'm talking to you, I always have music on. I have playlists that I listen to. I like a lot of lounge music. I might put in London Lounge or, funky Rio relaxing vibes or something that I can search for just to get some background music that makes me feel like that there's something happening around me that I sort of am part of while I'm burying my head in work and creativity. So music's very important, and water.
And what's, I guess it's a bit hard to say what's coming in the future because we don't really know, but what's coming in the future?
Well, I had another show that I did a pilot for last year, Rebuild or Renovate, Renovate or Rebuild rather. It's another show to go on 9 Life, so 9 Life, the lifestyle channel of Channel 9. So I came on, we did a pilot last year and it was picked up. I love this show because it aligns with what I do with Planet Ark. So I'm an ambassador with Planet Ark. There's a few ambassadors. Lane Beachley's one, and Kerry Ann Kenley does work with them as well. But Planet Ark I joined about 5 or 6 years ago, 7 years, through contacts through the living room really, because I was doing on that show, we had ridiculously stupid budgets in the first 5 years of that show where we'd have to deck out a bedroom or a lounge room and we were like given $1,000. Like it was crazy. So we would always go to the salvos and repurpose and repaint. And so because I was always talking about, solid timber furniture that can be sanded and repainted and reused again and reinvented and just changing the handles. And I love that upcycling concept, that recycling, upcycling. So I think that was good, and that fits in with this show. So this show's about 2 teams that go against each other. One team says, your house is crap, I'm going to knock it down and build a new one, and it's going to cost you this much, but I'll give you all of these benefits. And the other one says, actually, what's there, it's okay, let's add to it and do it, and it will cost this much. And these are the benefits. So there's a big environmental push. They talk about the energy consumption, passive design, really interesting use. So in the pilot, we did a home where the brick wall was on the inside of the house. So it was a brick veneer home in reverse. It had timber walls outside, brick wall inside. And it was very interesting for me to watch that because it's quite different to how I view homes, but it works so well because the heat hits the timber and slowly it doesn't heat up like a brick wall outside. And inside, if you've got the heater on, you're heating a brick wall, which radiates back into the house. Like it worked really well. So there's some amazing concepts in that show. I've got a beach house up the Central Coast that I wanted to pitch and reno that as a show, which we were in discussions, and that's all gone quiet now. So watch this space. And Sandra and I are in the process of creating a lot of video content. So you can keep an eye on that. You can easily follow Instagram and all that stuff. I'll let you know. But about instructive ways of the kitchens and bathrooms that I'm creating. So I'll be explaining the process of what I do and putting a lot of that video content out on YouTube. And in 2 weeks or so, I think I'm looking over, we're launching, I've been working on a house in Manly for 2.5 years with the clients. It was the original home of Mr. Taubman's, perched on the hill looking over the ocean. And this client's bought it, and it's like Grand Designs worthy. we took out the old rickety garage and put new garage and stairs and have really transformed this home, and new bathrooms and new paint scheme. And of course used Taubman's paint because it's Mr. Taubman's house, but the shed in the back where he used to mix paint. So that's all been
Wow.
in a couple of weeks. We've done lots of video content, lots of images, and it's a beautiful home. It's 1906 or 7 or something. But I retained so much, and the floorboards, and it's a real character home. So it's very different to these big ultra modern ones that I get a lot of these days. It's so much character. Yeah, so that's going to be coming out as well. Just more houses, Dara. What is there? What else is there?
What else is there to do?
Yeah, I think, and we need to get back outside and have a meal with some friends and lighten up a little bit. It's been quite overwhelming, you know. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard. Our kids are going through it, you know. They're teenagers. They're going back to school. They started this just last week, 1 day a week, and they so need to be with their friends. They're, you know, 14 and 15. They need that. It's such an important age to, well, any age, isn't it? But they need to be with their peers, their contacts, and be developing and finding out who they are with their friends and the people of the same age. So that's all going to come up too.
Where can people find you? What's the best places?
Well, Instagram, Designer James Travel. I post stuff on there. I don't fill it up with lots of waffle. I try and put information out there and nice images. I have Facebook as well. I have a newsletter, so you can sign up to that. And that's going to be lots of information as well, and tips and tricks. So you can see what I'm doing, and I'll let you know when TV shows are coming and those sort of things. I do have video content coming up, and I'm in the process of creating some online product to sell, like ebook type things. And I don't want to say too much about them because then I've got this ball rolling down the hill making me do it all.
You have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But, it's been a process that we've been discussing for some time. So there's lots of content.
What's your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel. What's my YouTube channel? Oh, Designer James Travel. Isn't that bad that I've just got to check? So yeah, you need a Sandra in your life. So I have Sandra who looks after my stuff for me these days. So keeps me organized. It becomes a bit overwhelming sometimes, all the things that we have to do to keep operating as a business. So he looks after me and filters lots of things.
Relentless.
Before they get to me, because otherwise I can be overwhelming. And my problem is, as he tells me, is that I'll get clients and I say yes to everything. Can you do me this? Can you help me with this? We want you to talk to this design school. Can you come in here and fly to this place and talk to these builders? And I go, yes, sure, yeah. And then, and then I've got deadlines and things to be everywhere. So yeah, that's the problem. I need more time in my life.
Well, that's what COVID's given us.
Yes, they
Time.
have. They have given.
Gift of time.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time today.
Pleasure, Dara.
Love you lots.
Thank you.
And I'm very proud of you.
Love you long time. I look forward to seeing you. Congratulations on all your success down there as well. It's a hard business running a business, especially a beautiful, design tile gallery. But, I've even got the buys. These are a collector's edition, everyone. I have, yes, it's always still on my desk. I got this when you launched. So buyers and time, you can go down there. But I look forward to seeing you when I come down to Melbourne, which I hope it's not too long. Yes. And the big message, I think, Dara, is in what you're doing right now. It's really good. Thanks for calling and doing this. Stay positive, even when we're down in life. The worst days of your life, if you look outside, the birds are singing, the sky's usually blue. We're going to get through this. It's going to be stronger. And all of these stories, I was telling our kids, all of these stories from our grandparents who lived through war and had a hard time. And they talk about, when I was young and we had one pair of shoes with 15 kids and we only, shared 3 eggs, and all these stories that they tell you. And we just go, yeah, whatever. That's what made them stronger characters and valuing stuff that they have. And so I told Alexander, and Francesca that we're going through that right now. We're getting all of the benefits of those lessons. We're learning to value things. But what they had to also go through at the same time when they had it was war. And we don't have war. We don't have anyone running around with guns and tanks and all those things. So the world is
thankfully
the lessons without all of the ramifications. So I think it's positive, and I choose to view it like that.